Okay, members, we got a big one today. A review for Crimson Desert. After making 600 gameplay VODs and just, mostly focus on some side content, the main quest, I easily put over, sorry, I easily put over 100 hours into this game. And it's a magnificent game in certain aspects, and it got some uh, negative aspects about it as well. So I got my little notepad here for specifics, and we're gonna get into this review of Crimson Desert, developed by Pearl Abyss, and released March 19th for current gen systems, minus the Switch 2. Um, so I don't have a lot of history with Pearl Abyss. I understand that they made an MMO called Black Desert Online, I believe. Um, Crimson Desert started off kind of rough. Okay. Well, by the way, let's cut to the chase here, right? Members, I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. I am also gonna write a review for the website, but the score is gonna be a 9. Is that a 9? 9 out of 10. All right. Um, this game could have been a 10. Let's get into the negatives. Why I chopped that point off. The main thing about Crimson Desert, the main negatives I would say is that the story and the writing aren't bad, but they're mediocre. Like the main quest, like you play these type of games, I will put Crimson Desert in the same vein, open world type of games like Skyrim, The Elder Scrolls Skyrim, and Red Dead Redemption. Any of them like major blockbuster AAA games, there's parts that are in Crimson Desert, but as you play those games, the main story, isn't that good. At least in Crimson Deserts, the writing in the main story, etc. But like you take The Witcher 3, like the writing's much better, the story's better overall and stuff because of the writing and everything. But it's not terrible, okay. But that's a negative, and also the jank in I would say, my dog's here on me. I would say that the jankiness within the game, some of the gameplay mechanics and the puzzle mechanics. Now, keep in mind, Pearl Abyss at this point for me are the best studio developers ever to put out quick, useful, game improving, in my opinion, patches. Right? They patched the hell out of Crimson Desert the first 14 days, and I've been playing the game for just over 21 days straight, putting a lot of time in. Like I said, I made 600 gameplay VODs for it that are on the channel, by the way. Uh, the story and like I said, the story and the jankiness within some of the gameplay mechanics, like the Axiom Force, used to solve puzzles and stuff. But here's the thing about Crimson Desert. It doesn't hold your hand, and in some cases, it needed to hold my hand because I was confused as hell what to do sometimes with because there's so many gameplay mechanics in the game and stuff and whatnot that I was just confused as to what to use, man. And like, there's so many options, there's so many skills unlocked. You get to a point where you're beating bosses in the later chapters of the main campaign, and there's no way for me to beat them unless I either had a bow or I had a like specific skills, like a spirit skill that lets you redirect what is called force snare or snare with the so it's two skills: force snare with the retribution action added on to the force snare. And you if you don't like use that, like you're not gonna be these little 2 3 specific bosses. But that's throughout the whole game. Like you gotta like know, but the game never tells you. There's lots of reading. You can go through like 1,000, different aspects of the journal and the codex and look at the stuff. But who has time for that shit? I mean, you're already putting in 100, 200, 300 hours into this game, and you're not even gonna see everything. It's massive. It's massive. This is a 10-year game at least. If Pearl Abyss does some good updates to it, some DLC, which they easily could do because you look at some of the other Grey main characters that you play as, like Unka and Damien, a female and like an orc warrior that's part of the Grey main faction, which is like the main clan of the game. The protagonist Cliff is part of, and then much of the story does evolve around that at the beginning of the game, how they're uprooted of their land of Pywell, not the Pywell is a continent, but the Pyloon. I'm sorry, Pyloon, which is where they're from. And they got uprooted at the beginning of the game. Cliff got killed actually at the beginning of the game. I'm sorry, there's gonna be spoilers. So a lot of the beginning of the game has to do with Cliff story wise having him to go to to take out this Black Bear Clan leader called Mirrodin and getting their land back of Pyloon and settling back down to Pyloon. But before that, there's a lot going on uh, story wise. Another the main part of the story is stopping a guy called Caliburn, who's like a king of a certain faction. And by the way, there is some Game of Thrones action in this story a little bit with the factions. You helping factions, and the country is getting torn apart in this high fantasy setting of Pywell, which is the continent that the entire game takes place on. So you got a little Game of Thrones, but the writing isn't that good within the characters and stuff like that. Uh, so you're trying to stop Caliburn from unleashing Umbra, which is like a world eater, ancient dark entity that can like devour worlds and shit like that. If you know high fantasy, you know what I'm talking about, stuff like that. Umbra wasn't Umbra part of Bayonetta? Branding. It's early, and I don't want to mess up too much. I know I'm gonna forget thousands of things with Crimson Desert because this game, y'all gotta realize, man, this is a slow burn. This is like Grand Theft Auto 5, Red Dead Redemption 2. It's gonna take you at least 60 hours or 50 hours to get through the main campaign, and that's if you rush it. And I wouldn't advise that because you're gonna hit a lot of hard checkpoints with the bosses early on and stuff. Because at this point, there probably are a lot of YouTube videos that can help you respecting the skills that can help you get through the boss caps because they're roadblocks, man. Early on, like at least when I first started playing, there wasn't a lot of information out, right, how to beat these bosses and stuff. But once you start getting the information and stuff to beat the bosses, it's pretty good. But there's so many player agency is another big thing about this game. There's so many. It's just so much to do in the world. The exploration is magnificent. The world is magnificent. It's a huge world, but it's always something amazing to do, and always some. There's bugs crawling everywhere. There's butterflies to catch wherever you walk. Depends. There's snowy areas. There's desert areas in the right, and there's animals tied to those specific regions. Like in the desert area, the Menace area. There's elephants walking around and stuff. Later in the game, you get a flying dragon called Blackstar, who's amazing, by the way. You unlock and stuff. There's all types of monsters, legendary mounts you can unlock. I was unlocking some of the legendary mounts and learning how to do those through side quests. The reason why I'm giving this game a 9 is because of the moment by moment gameplay. Okay, this is like Skyrim. This is like Red Dead Redemption, where you're the most thrilling parts of this game is you just exploring. And you running into an NPC, or you accidentally running into a boss fight, or you finding out a cool sword stuck in the mountain with the giant's skeleton. It's the exploration and moment to moment. There's a huge economy to the world. Like when I first started playing, I learned about how you could steal a gold bar out of a house, king's bedroom, in a fireplace. And you could put the gold bar and put it into the bank. And over 2 days, it recirculates your money into dividends, into silver dividends. The gold bar does. But you got to know how to steal. You got to like wear a thief's mask so you're not caught and stuff. And there's radiuses of getting caught and stuff. Everything has an economy. It's a circle in this game. Like I don't care if you got to go to the butcher to buy meat. You can only buy so much meat, and she gets more back in and at the Hernan village and. Later on, a little later into the game, I say a quarter through, midway, you start creating your camp, much like if you play Red Dead Redemption 2 with Dutch, there's a camp and it has an economy, except Crimson Desert has a whole just faction side quest system to building your camp from farms to setting up the butcher to getting your smith, and a lot of that has to do with reuniting your green mains that you lost at the beginning of the game, because a lot of the first half of the game to me is about reestablishing the gray mains and setting up that camp, and then going forward after Mirrodin and Caliburn. But yeah, the camp It has its own like shop economy. It has where you could like have trade goods. You could send people out to get trade goods, and it has a true economy to it. I mean, you really want to set up that camp early so you don't have to fast travel around via Abyss Nexus points to get to a butcher or get to a smith to upgrade your weapons and stuff and gear. Let's see what else I got here. All right, so bosses, yeah, bosses. Some bosses were good. Some bosses were weird. They'll stun lock you and just kill you in 2 seconds. A lot of the key is maximizing how you want to play because the role playing aspect of Crimson Desert with Cliff, the protagonist. Me personally, I'll use a lot of large swords, dual swords. I didn't use the bow that much. I used a lot of different spirit attacks with the Axiom Forest and the spirit attacks like Focus. Focus to me in combat gameplay wise, focus is really important because it slows down time like the Matrix, and there's unlocks within the spirit tree with focus that you can do a force palm. And by the way, all these special attacks and everything, they merge with how to unlock, passages and doors and things inside the actual world. So they like are tied into exploration to use in exploration and stuff. Like Where Winds Meet, you can use your learning ability to watch somebody do a skill, and you can learn a skill yourself. There's plenty of skills I learned, like how to clothesline. There's wrestling in this game, by the way. I didn't do bare fist, but there's a whole wrestling system with punches and everything. You could set Cliff up to be a bowmaster or a master wrestler. Like me, I mastered dual blades because like getting all these extra hits all fastened and everything, the DPS speed and stuff. So yeah, at the beginning I was using the shield. Spirit King Keen, Keen, unlocks like the ability to evade, to dodge, and to use like counterattacks and to like attack while you're being attack through an attack, and to parry. So unlock Keen in the spirit column right away. This game has a lot of Breath of the Wild in it and Tears of the Kingdom. Like, it's a place called the Abyss Nexus, which is like above. And by the way, Abyss, the word is important in this game, because to upgrade Cliff, you have to collect Abyss artifacts. You can collect sealed Abyss artifacts in the world by using a technique of your sword called Glint, called Sword Glint. And it marks the areas like how the well, it actually doesn't mark the areas, but it shows where things are, like fast travel points, and it's kind of like using the monoscope, little telescope thing, in like Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom and stuff, where you can see where things are on the map because there's not much hand holding, but yet once you get a hold of the slow burn S nature of Crimson Desert, it's amazing. I could swear, man, if this game had an amazing writing, an amazing story, it could possibly be a lock. It could like people will like this game over Grand Theft Auto 6, even though I haven't played Grand Theft Auto. We don't know anything Grand Theft Auto 6. We all know it's gonna be this shit, right? But there's people who like these type of games, these high fantasy setting games with magnificent open worlds. You could like I said, this is like a courage in like Skyrim, except it's more like third person. But you can play as first person, but you can't do any combat mechanics in first person, and it locks you back out in the third person. And I gotta get back on Pearl Abyss and about how amazing they are with the patches, because they even added like camera systems. They added graphical options, at least to the PS5 Pro. By the way, that's most of Crimson Desert I played on was on the PlayStation 5 Pro. The beginning was on a PlayStation 5 base. And technically, it wasn't that impressive, like visually and stuff. Especially because I play a lot in the performance modes on the console. It's a lot easier for me to make the gameplay VODs and stuff and whatnot. But on PlayStation 5 Pro, which I had to buy because Sony raised the fucking price on the PlayStation 5 in America and PlayStation 5 Pro. So I bought a PlayStation 5 Pro, and this is the first game I tried it on. And I admit, man, like this, it was a huge difference visually, going from performance mode on the PlayStation 5 Pro to the PlayStation, base PlayStation. So yeah, this game is supported on PlayStation 5 Pro, and it does look amazing in performance mode. The IQ is very clean, very crisp. You know, the video footage I'm showing in the background. Yeah, there were moments where like you destroy these siege towers and it did slow down. This is PlayStation 5 Pro footage, by the way, and it does slow down. So even on the PlayStation 5 Pro, there are sequences. At least this is a patch ago. I believe this footage is. They just had another patch that even improved the game even more. But yeah, but otherwise it looked amazing. I was like, damn, man, this is impressive. That PSSR is putting in some work. Um, Anyways, yeah, Crimson Desert, man. This is a high fantasy setting, right? But as you get through the game, it opens up even more. It's one of these type of games where you could play 20 hours in the main campaign, then you're gonna completely learn a new skill. You're gonna completely learn a new gameplay mechanic in a world that is important in the next 100 hours. You know what I'm saying? Like it goes on and on pretty much. So I feel pretty accomplished just by beating the game, like actually beating it and beating the epilogue, right? It takes a lot of time to beat this game. I'm gonna tell you something. You cannot rush this game, man. Do not rush this game. This is a slow burn. So if you're busy in life, consider this as a game that you're gonna play for like the whole year, 2 years, or 3 years. But it's so visceral. It's so engaging. The atmosphere is like it's like I truly believe it could be like Skyrim over a 10-year period if they just add a little bit of DLC, which is like par for the course, man. With the gray main characters in general. I mean, getting back to the Greymanes, the clan that the Greymanes are basically like a Ronin clan, of warriors, right? They all got the Scottish, English, Welsh accents and stuff, but they're like a ragtag group. I mean, there's ogres, there's women, there's all types of people. The Greymanes, and they have different abilities. Like Jan is like this thief, like cutthroat guy. Like he cusses a lot. And then you got Shane, who's like a one-eye bowmaster. So the characters in the Greymanes and the way they fight, to me, is actually pretty unique and pretty good. It's like I want to know more about. I want to see like some DLC with the Greymanes and the various Greymanes, since you do play as two other characters during certain sequences. During a campaign, there's sequences, but you can't always call them. You could summon them sometimes. You could call them sometimes. Female warrior named Damien, who's part of Dominus. She's searching for a sword master, and then you got Unka, who's like Cliff's main, main guy who has his back in the Greymanes and stuff. That's like his guy. He can really like. That's like his rock, right? Unka, who's like a big orc dude, and he has his own sequences and stuff, And they play differently. They got different skill trees, but their skills are like health and spirit and stamina are like all attached to Cliffs and stuff, but they play differently. They feel differently and they look differently and everything. So, man, I'm not gonna be able to tell you everything. There's so many like collectibles in this game, like, and I'm talking about cool collectibles, like you discovering armor pieces, weapons, defeating bosses, net you weapons that have special abilities. There's witches in this game that offer special customization options that help you do more of the advanced, like abyss gear, you know, gameplay mechanics. You can add, abyss gears and add, manipulate your weapons and legendary weapons and gear and stuff through the help of witches. So witches are important, and they also got their faction and side quests and everything that you can even unlock more. And everybody do. There's all these little secret areas in the forest with like these little elf kids, and there's cat men walking around, and there's all these cats everywhere. And I mean, the game truly has a high fantasy feel to it. I mean, like if you could like put The Witcher 3, Red Dead Redemption, Skyrim together in this world, that's basically what it is. It has so much stuff, and the thing is, like, I'm surprised that they pull it off this good. It's not perfect, but they actually pull it off good enough. We're having all these ideas from these popular AAA games, and they melded it into one game. I'm impressed by that. But I'm not impressed by the jank and the obscurity of the puzzles and stuff. Let me tell you, man, I have not ever had to look at so many other YouTubers' videos to learn how to do something than with this motherfucker, Crimson Desert. I really had to look up a lot of YouTubers, man. A lot to like figure out just simple things like you might have like use your lantern to find a broken line to fix a cable like because the game just doesn't the map system just doesn't help you, man. The map system is almost borderline worthless. But guess what? Parallel Bits recently, you know, added the map system. So, uh, yeah, man, I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. Members, that's about it. That's about 20 minutes of me yammering about this game, and there's so much more I could talk about. But yeah, I'm gonna give Crimson Desert a 9 out of 10, and I gotta get ready now for Pragmata and Saros. Is it Saros or Saros? Because this is still April 2026, and members, thank you for becoming a member, and make sure you check out my brother, who's the best streamer in the world, Bobby Vegas Gaming, if you got a chance. That's about it. So yeah, 9 out of 10. It is flawed. It's a slow burn, but if you want a high fantasy game that has an amazing open world, to get lost in, it's Crimson Desert for 2026. And yeah, I think it will be a game of the year contender. It will probably win some spots, probably, for some parts of the within the game and stuff. So that's about it, members. Thank you. And that's it for Crimson Desert, and I'll see you in the next one.